Alrighty, folks. The 2025 trade period has wrapped up. We've just done our live stream, our live reactions. Crazy one. A lot of deals got done. A lot of deals didn't get done. This video, Mitch, is going to be every club, just the key ins, key outs, and how we rate their trade period overall.
Yep.
Anything to add?
No, let's get into it.
All right, sweet. Like, subscribe. Let's get into the key ins and outs for each club. Alrighty, so we're starting with Adelaide, alphabetical order, ins for Adelaide, Finbar Maley. That's it.
Yeah, the big point is probably not ins. Kalachi.
Yep.
Missed out on him. No deal was agreed to between them and the Lions. Obviously, Crows had more of the whip hand than the Lions did, given he was off contract. They've since put out a statement saying they're committed to picking him up. So pre-season draft, I guess, is how that works. Justin Reid spoken and said, certainly explored many avenues in endeavours to get a deal done with Brisbane. Callum has given his given great service to the Lions, and we see him as a player who can really help our squad. We're committed to Callum joining the club, and he's committed to joining to us. So, we'll see Finbar Bailey in a trade that involved a couple of late picks. Interesting pickup for them. Obviously, a surprise. Didn't know anything was happening until Arvo of deadline day, and it got done Arvo of deadline day. So he adds some key position depth. Taylor Walker's not there forever. They need probably a third option, even when their best 23 might not include three tall forwards. But now that you've got an extra on the bench, certainly could for a player who can play forward and pinch in the ruck.
Yep.
So it's an interesting pickup. Probably could have had better opportunities in North Melbourne, but he's picked to go to the Crows.
Yep. Alrighty, and Brisbane. So, in my eyes, the winners of the trade period this year, mostly through free agency. So, they bring in Sam Draper, Oscar Allen through free agency. They gain pick 17 and 23, but then they lose Starcevic, and I just say Kalamachi as well, and pick 20.
Yeah, Kalachi you can add in there. Dev Robinson too, they'll deal this and he'll go to West Coast. Yeah, they get 17 and 23, lose Starcevic in 20. That's kind of probably an improvement, if anything. And as you mentioned, Sam Draper and Oscar Allen, off the back of premiership years, they've only strengthened their chances for a third straight premiership, and they're in a good position to match a bid for Dan Annable, which might come in the top 5. So this is really good off-season for the reigning premiers, and obviously an issue for the AFL from an equalisation point of view. But there's ticks all around for Brisbane.
Yeah, scary. All right, Carlton fans, let us know what do you think of this? So, Carlton, obviously headlined by losing Charlie Curnow. They gain Liam Reedy, Campbell Chesser, Ben Ainsworth, Ollie Florent, and Will Hayward. They now have pick 9, pick 11, 2026 round 1, 2027 round 1 from Sydney. And then they also lose Jack Silvani, Tom DeConing, and Corey Durden. So,
let's start with the Curnow deal.
Yep.
3 first-round picks and Will Hayward for Charlie Curnow and some later picks.
Yep.
That's a win-win trade for Sydney.
Yep.
And for Carlton, it's a lose for Michael Voss. 1 year left on his deal. They've backed him in for 1 more year. He has to somehow make finals with
this ragtag group of people.
Yeah, with a list management period that suggests maybe they're looking long-term. Reedy could certainly be their first-string ruckman. Chesser could be best 23. Ainsworth, Hayward, probably definitely best 23. Florent, fringe maybe, but I think there's a role for him in their best side. They get Nick Newman back though. But 4 first-round picks coming in. Technically, they got the DeConing compo and then lost the DeConing, traded the DeConing compo. So that came in and out. Lose Durden, who I rate as probably one of their better small forwards, plus DeConing and Silvani, a top 5 ruckman and a good key defender. So it's hard to think Carlton fans will be satisfied. But even if they're happy with the return they got for Charlie Curnow and first-round picks for Silvani and DeConing and some good players coming in, Michael Voss can't be happy.
Yeah, this is not a trade period where you look at it and say that we're making finals next year. That's definitely not making finals next year with those outs and those ins are, that's not an improvement on the list. So let us know, Carlton fans, what you think of this in the comments. Collingwood, Jack Buller in, Brody Mychek out.
It's an upgrade, I think. Mychek probably wasn't that player they've seen from a 5-time leading goal kicker by the end of the year. Jack Buller had some pretty good signs for Sydney, who have enough key forwards that losing him is not too big of a deal. But for the Pies, Tim Embry's aging, Dan McStay was falling out of the first team, Mason Cox, uncertain future at the moment. At this point in time, so Jack Buller could have a role to play for the Pies in what will be a premiership tilt next year. So Player with some good upside, 2.5 years in the system, has had some injury issues during his time with the Swans, but arrived as a mid-season draft pick with some great form out of Claremont and at a young age too. So there's a bit to like.
Bombers, Inns, Braden Fiorini, pick 21, out Sam Draper, not Zach Merritt.
Not Zach Merritt.
That is probably
props
the
to
thing
the
that we
Bombers.
should talk about. Yeah.
So we were saying in the live stream, you think they leave trade period with less dignity than when they started?
I think they're in a fine. It's fine, but I think it's just awkward now to have your captain that clearly doesn't want to be there. He comes back.
Yeah, but is it more awkward than what Best and Fairest Night was? And they've already gotten that out of the way.
Yeah, but then it's just a year of that.
Nah, but it'll change pretty quick, I reckon.
Yeah, okay. But then it's just going to be the exact same thing at the end of next year as well. I think he's going to try and get out again next year.
That's fine.
Which is fine. And I do like that Essendon held the player to their contract.
Yep.
I think they're going to get a lot of respect for that. But it's just, I think it's better for the club. If a player wants to go, then just you got to make
I think this is pretty interesting for the Bombers. They've got a season to prove to Zach Merritt that they can compete. They can compete potentially probably has to be next year, obviously, but for the future as well. And then all of a sudden he can be like, you know what, this is an environment where maybe I can win a premiership in. Might not happen, but it could. And that's always the fun part about the unknown. Sam Draper goes, they get a first round pick. I like Fiorini. Don't know if they needed a midfielder though, to be fair. They have picks 5 and 6 after a trade with Melbourne last year. Obviously lose some later selections. But
Yep.
I think they're in a good spot.
Draper, in terms of a loss, I mean, they've already felt it, what it's like without him.
Yeah, they're backing in guys like Vigo Vizentini and Lockie Blackerson to carry the ruckload to start the year, which probably doesn't bode well for Zach Merritt's thoughts on this turning into a premiership list. But Nick Brown will be back in the early periods. Won't be there for round 1, I would have thought, but early periods of next year. What will be fascinating, though, is round 1, what has become a traditional match is Essendon Hawthorn. So we'll see the reaction that Hawthorn fans give Zach Merritt. I don't know what it'll be weird. And also Essendon
He'll
fans.
get booed and it'll be hilarious.
But could he possibly get booed by both fans? 90K in the house. Essendon fans boo him. Hawthorn fans.
I would love to see Essendon fans boo their own player.
And then Hawthorn fans also. I don't think we've ever had both sides boo the same player, have we?
Oh, I'm sure it's happened. Let us know in the comments. That sounds like something that would have happened.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well done, Essendon. Fremantle. Inns, Judd McVee, my boy, pick 20, and they lose Liam Reedy, Will Brodie, and pick 13.
Yeah, this was a bit of a weird.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about.
Judd McVee's
good in.
Good get, but their involvement in the Brandon Starcevich deal was a bit funky, I thought. I don't think they really got anything out of that, and they helped West Coast. So it was a bit odd, but Judd McVee's good. Where he fits in, probably maybe not as a defender. I think their backline's pretty set. He's a good one-on-one lockdown player, though. So is he accountable for, an opposition midfielder, and he comes off the wing? It'll be quite fascinating to see how they use him. They stay in the first round, even though they gave up pick 13. They've got pick 20. I think I've got that right. And then Will Brodie and Liam Reedy, 2 players who were surplus to requirements. I think that's fine all up. But yeah, they've given pick 13 to West Coast, and they've got Brisbane's pick 20. A bit odd. But they've also got draft selections 47, 69, 90, 103, 108. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Let us know in the comments, Free fans, what you think of that, because I think it's fine. I don't think they didn't
need to do much.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of missing pieces,
yeah.
I think.
Getting McVee's good, but moving back 7 spots in the first round, not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cats, Gain, James Warple, and unfortunately they lose Patrick Rechko, who I only knew about until about an hour before the deadline. Yeah,
pretty boring for Geelong, given what this might have been.
I think that's good, given how Geelong's season ended.
Yeah.
It's a quiet sort of...
Yeah, but, they were never really getting Curnow and Marshall, but coming away with neither might be a bit disappointing for them. They never really got to satisfy either club with their offers, and we know the Cats don't really like to pay overs. So, props to the Saints and Blues for sticking fat. The Curnow offer wasn't close to what probably should have been tabled, but that's like the Cats can't offer more, unless they've got a player who wants to leave, which they just don't. They couldn't really do much more than 3 first-round picks, and Carlton rightfully said no. St Kilda, first-round pick and something else, probably not a bad offer for a guy who is no longer your first-string ruckman, but Saints stuck fat as well. Paddy Rechko, 1 year at the club, got delisted, and still got traded because, your contract is technically, I think, runs still to the end of October. So he's technically still contracted, but fascinating that Richmond decided to trade for him, probably using a pick that they're not going to need. So there wasn't really no loss overall for either side. Don't know. Cats might pick up a future All-Australian with pick 99, so we'll see.
Yep. What does Warple add?
Yeah, he's going to be fascinating. Like, I think the starting midfield is probably in that, but I think they might lose too much defense.
Is he?
Well, I think so. I don't know where else you put him though. He's not a wing player, midfielder.
Well, you put him midfield, but
off the bench. Maybe.
Yeah, starting mid. I don't know.
The issue would be that if you're running Holmes, Smith, and Warple, you're probably losing that defensive edge that Tom Atkins brings.
Yeah,
it'd be fascinating. They bat a lot deeper now in midfield. It's certainly improved, but maybe he's not a starting mid.
Yeah. Yep, interesting one. The Sunny Boys, I think they've actually done quite well here. So, of course, they get a Christian Petrarca. They also get Jamara, and then they lose Malcolm Roses Jr., Sam Flanders, Ben Ainsworth, Braden Fiorini, Connor Butterick, pick 7, and 2026 round 1.
Yeah, we'll start with the ins. Jamara, we were trying to discuss this on the live stream. What's a pass mark for him?
I said to get on the park and not make any headlines.
Yeah, I think it's earn yourself another contract.
Yeah.
Do whatever whatever it is that gets you that.
Have they said what his contract is? It 1 year?
So I think he had a 1 year contract. Well, he had 1 year left on a contract with the Dogs. I think the Suns have picked that up, but also torn it up and cut his money down to like $250K plus incentives. He was in line to get maybe $700K at the Dogs. So not only get through the year. With maybe no headlines, but also earn yourself another contract. Yeah, you might not get an AFL game, but just prove yourself that you're a part of this club's future. I think that's the pass mark. Petrarca, a great get. Great to see that GWS and Gold Coast are destination clubs now. Yeah, I think this is Gil McLaughlin's wet dream that these two clubs are pulling in players like Christian Petrarca and Clayton Oliver. Did you
I just did not expect that. But I agree. I think they've done very well.
Yeah, as far as the losses, Sam Flanders, great player, but just couldn't play a role for them.
That's fair. Yeah.
Malcolm Roses Jr., fringe player. Ben Ainsworth, not playing a role for them, a bit like Flanders. Fiorini was starting the VFL this year. I don't think I don't think the loss is that big for them, even though he was putting up some good performances in the second half of the season. Connor Butterick, versatile, reliable, but again, not the worst thing to see him go. Yeah. Pick 7 and a 26 first rounder on top of that. You give those up to get track. What they do have though, we don't have those as the keys, is all the picks that they do still have. They've got 3,773 points, which if bids come in at pick 3 and pick 4 for Dylan, Patterson and Zeke Yuland, they've got enough points to match them. Yep. They've also got a few other boys, Bo Adensall, Jai Murray, Kobe Coulson to match bids for. But at least they've got picks 3 and 4 if bids come then. Pick comes at pick 2. Bid comes at pick 2. That could be a bit fuzzy, but they have the mechanisms to trade picks and get more points. But they've exited well, having got Jamara, Petrarca, and enough points for some early bids.
Yeah. I think that's the outs, in terms of the outs, they're the type of players that you do see leave clubs or just get pushed out when they're starting a real premiership tilt.
Yeah. This is funny. You go back 8 years ago, they're probably losing the Petrarcas and Ugle-Hagens and getting a Butterick and a Fiorini. This is a big inverse on the Gold Coast we've been used to. And
but there is still some work to be done. Like obviously work to be done with Jamara, but then Petrarca as well. Like he is a fantastic player, and I think it will happen if he fixes up his disposal while he is at Gold Coast.
Easier said than done, but
yeah, like I can see it happening, but it's not. Maybe this is copium that I'm huffing right now, but there is downside, and it's disposal, but. Well done, Gold Coast. Yeah. Alrighty, the Giants gain Clayton Oliver, pick 12. They lose James Ware, pick 14. Clear sort of trade period for them.
Yeah, and they win the Clary deal as much as Melbourne could probably benefit from losing him in a way. Yeah. They giving up future third round pick, not having to pay his whole salary. The upside there for them is pretty fantastic. they do have him for 5 years though. So
Yep.
How that pans out, it's going to be quite fascinating. Jacob Ware, not really the key asset for them. Free agent. They didn't even get any compo for his loss. They move up a couple of spots in the draft order thanks to a trade with the Dogs. So wins, not massive wins, but they both could be. I think
as well. It'd be interesting to see where Clayton Oliver fits in that midfield alongside Tom Green.
Yeah, Finn Callahan. I think that's a trio that can complement each other.
Yep.
Like Green good inside and a little bit outside. Clary probably good both.
I think
Callahan
then Green gets
both.
pushed a bit more to the outside, I think, which is
No,
okay.
I think they try and use Clary a bit of polish. He can run. It's just his kicking.
Yeah. I think he's better on the inside.
And they lose Josh Kelly for most of the year, so they do have some minutes to fill in there.
Hawthorn, they gained pick 10 and pick 22. They did not gain Zach Merritt. They lose James Warple, Chankuth Jiath, Jai Sarong, and pick 9.
Yeah, well, obviously the Warple, Jiath, and Sarong, I guess what they got for those guys isn't part of these key-ins because we're just looking at first-round picks. You head to our draft order page for every club's assets for the 25, 26, and 27 draft selections. Yeah, they've kind of, it looks like they've kind of prepared for the draft, but they weren't really doing that. They're trying to get Zach Merritt. Him not coming to the Hawks is no real issue for Hawthorn.
No. Yeah.
The issue for them will be that they've lost James Warple, and they haven't really added much to the midfield. What I do like is the opportunity that this opens for Cam McKenzie and Josh Ward. John Newcombe is still that main attraction in midfield. Maybe Will Day is as well, but we just don't see enough of him if he stays fit. Cam McKenzie and Josh Ward will have to step up alongside Connor Nash. So it's going to be interesting to see because they might not have a better list than what they had to end the year. Chankwith Jaff probably wasn't best 23. It was fringe for a lot of the year. Jai Sarong might be the bargain pickup of the trade period, as I've stressed over the past week. And James Warple, I don't think is that big of a loss. No. I don't think they didn't get the return they probably could have or should have for a player of his caliber, but obviously the deal that Geelong had for him wasn't that much, and the Hawks obviously, as a restricted free agent, didn't do much to match it, so it's kind of on them as well.
Alrighty, the Ds. So we gained a lot of people. Max Heath, Brody Myercheck, Chankuth Jack Steele. We got pick 7, 8, and 2026 round 1, which is Gold Coast. And then we lost Charlie Spargo, North Melbourne, Judd McVie, Christopher Petrarca, and Clayton Oliver. Yeah.
You probably look at those ins and you think, wow, who is Max Heath? But to me, imagine even 5 months ago, imagine saying the D's are picking up Brody Myercheck, Chanquith Jath, and Jack Steele. Jath's future was a little bit clouded. Myercheck's a free agent. Yep. Jack Steele was obviously always an interesting asset at the Saints, but still their captain. And then Max Heath, another Saints, but he was off contract anyway.
Yep.
You get pick 7, pick 8, and a 2026 first round pick for a club in what Melbourne's position is. I think you can be pretty happy with that.
Yep. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. The
expectations were already low.
Yeah. And so losing Petrarca and Oliver is fine. It just hurt from an emotional level. But
Fair enough.
I understand that
they won you a flag.
It needed to happen maybe a year or two ago. I'm glad that it happened now before the Tassie comes in and the draft gets compromised.
To be fair, you had a couple of good draft runs with them there.
Yep.
And then this year was looking lean, and now you've got 2 top 10 picks and a future first.
Yeah.
You're going to have, assuming you use picks 7 and 8, you're going to have 4 drafts in a row of 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Which, right up until Tassie come in. So you had Windsor and Tholstrup, Langford and Lindsay, picks 7 and 8, and then a Gold Coast's first and Melbourne's first.
Yeah, the hard part is, though, that means that we're reverting back to a rebuilding draft phase of the team rather than...
I hate to tell you,
hey,
you
we're
are
pretty good.
A rebuilding team. You just sacked your coach. You got a new coach in. You've got a young list. With some good senior players that will help mentor, but
it does look like we're starting to build the bones of the next premiership team. You know, and I don't think the next premiership team is potentially might not have Max Gawn at the helm or in it. Myercheck won't be there. But we could be having your Windsor, your Langfords.
But Max Gawn's not going to be there. Would Max Gawn ever leave Melbourne? You reckon?
Sorry?
Would Max Gawn ever leave Melbourne?
Nah. No. He's going to be buried in the middle of Casey Fields.
What would you do if he ever left?
I'd quit. I'd quit this job. I would quit the Melbourne Football Club, and I would quit
I want something funnier
sport
than that, though.
in general. Yeah, no, I don't think he. I mean, I could see it would hurt if he retired and then went and became a ruck coach at like Geelong or something. I'd be hurt by
I like
that. Yeah,
If he
Which
left,
is
if he left
exactly
for
what
another
happened.
club, would you like say right now you get a tattoo of his beard on your chin?
no. What are you talking about?
Come on, come here.
Can we please talk about?
If you're that confident, he won't leave.
I'm pretty confident he won't leave. Yeah.
Anyway, Spargo's not a loss. Judd McVie is a loss, particularly with the lacking defensive assets Melbourne have.
Yep. I'm okay with losing Spargo. I thought he was good,
It's fine.
serviceable.
It's hardly on the park the last couple of years.
Yep.
Track's a big loss, but yeah, like you said, it's probably not as hard hitting as it might have been last year or the year before. Same with Clary. Even though you could have got better returns for Clary.
Should have taken the Geelong deal last year, to be fair.
Yeah, even I think Adelaide a couple of years ago had a pretty good package.
No, I'm happy to lose them. I accepted that a little while ago that we're going. Yeah, cool. I think we did about as best as we could given the circumstances.
Sure.
Yep. North Melbourne, gain, as we said, Charlie Spargo. Lose, as we said, Finbar Maley.
Yeah, pretty boring.
Yeah.
Spargo, that was settled pretty far out from free agency and done pretty quickly. Finbar Maley, they lose. I don't know if they were trying really hard to keep him, but they got a couple picks, I think, and sent one to Adelaide. They lose a depth forward ruck option, which something is probably they need. Cal Coleman Jones is there another one. Like they need to support Nick Larkey, and they just haven't looked like doing that. So this is like the fascinating thing for North is like when you look at rebuilding teams, hit the draft a lot, and then exit the draft and hit free agency and trade period. And they've exited the draft, but they didn't do the next step, which is a bit of a concern. Like you need to be luring players to your club at a certain point, and they're just they're not doing that.
I think I did see a list, a couple of posted, I think this week or last week, of who North have brought in since I think 2016, and they've been
I saw that.
basically no good players
Not great.
have come in.
Yeah.
Since that time, and that is probably the biggest problem that they have. They took a punt on a couple of people, like Spargo. It could be fine.
Yeah, they probably.
But it's just you need to be bringing in like some of the people that they tried to offer big money.
Like,
to,
let's look at
your
some of the other names.
Maynards
Let's look at some of the other
whatnot.
names. Oscar Allen was a free agent.
Yeah,
Give him a buttload of money that his head gets turned. I know that's not easy because he's already at West Coast and is sick of losing. Brendan Starcevich, I think they might have had some interest in him, but a good lockdown defender. Chuck Silvani, Tom de Koning, Sam Flanders, Charlie Kerner's probably not going there. Petrarca's probably not going there, but there's enough good names out there, and maybe they were interested and they get a quick no, but it's a bit of a concern that's all we're kind of seeing from North Melbourne is Charlie Spargo.
Alrighty, Port Adelaide did not lose anyone.
Pico 103.
Yep. So they did not lose anyone, but they gained Jacob Ware, Corey Durden, and Will Brodie.
Yeah. Not like it's something to get excited about.
No.
Corey Durden's actually not a bad pick. Probably a list need as well for them. They don't have Willie Rioli anymore. Jacob Ware, they see as a potential midfielder.
Yep.
Don't know how that works, but he certainly has at least the versatility to play half back or half forward as a little, hard-nosed flanker. Will Brodie, I don't think he really gets us a big look, does he? Like with the midfield type they've already got, and he doesn't really have the versatility to play other roles. I don't really understand the pick, but again, they gave up pick 103, which they weren't going to use anyway, or if they would, it'd be pick 60 in the end of the draft. I don't know. It's not really anything to get excited by. What the Port fans can get excited by is that they're really focused on the next 2 years' drafts when they have some good talent coming through. But maybe Josh Carr wants to be a bit more win now, but obviously this trade period doesn't say that. The big thing for them will be Zach Butters.
Yeah. The interesting part of this is this doesn't add anything to their expectations or anything for next year. I don't think it affects it at all. And I'm still sort of, jury's kind of out on what their expectations are for next year for me.
They win the wooden spoon. Probably not.
No.
Like Butters, Rosie, Horn, Francis midfield is pretty good.
Not with
Aaliyah down
that midfield.
back.
Yeah.
Mitch Georgiades was pretty bloody good this year. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably not. But I think top bottom four is where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy because they were in a prelim last year, but it happens.
Richmond, another inactive-ish kind of one, but they gain Patrick Rechko, lose Tyler Young.
Yeah, the they got a good return for Tyler Young for a player who, Raiders are pretty okay key defender, good for West Coast, surplus to requirements at punt row, just given the list of key defenders they've got. Paddy Rechko, we didn't see at AFL in his only year at Geelong, but obviously they liked him in his draft year, and they just had too many early picks and few list spots for the 2024 draft to bring him through. So they've pounced on him, even though he's delisted. They've given up a pick they weren't going to use anyway. Then the pick they got for Tyler Young, they'll probably maybe use to make sure they can get Louis Callaway, father-son, on top of picks 3 and 4. So, yeah, Tigers fans knew it was going to be draft-focused, and it remains draft-focused.
St Kilda, Jack Silvani, Tom De Koning, Sam Flanders, Liam Ryan are their ins. They lose Max Heath, Jack Steele, and pick 8.
Yeah, it's a big plus when you're comparing the ins and outs. Obviously, there's a few other picks that kind of get thrown around in all of that. But they bring in good key defender Jack Silvani to complement Cal Wilkie and Alex Taru. They don't get Leclerc, which we might touch on in a sec. Tom De Koning, arguable top 5 ruckman. Sam Flanders, as a full-time midfielder, is actually, I think, very good. I think people
really
forget.
wanted Melbourne to go for Sam Flanders, but
Flanders,
I think losing Jack Steele, bringing in Sam Flanders is a
big upgrade.
Immediate upgrade.
Particularly not from just a star power and speed and versatility point of view through midfield, but age as well. He'd be 5-6 years younger than Jack Steele, maybe more. But I think people forget how good he was last year in a designated role. He was rivaling Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson, who 2 of the best players in the competition this year. So sky's the limit for Sam Flanders, I think. Liam Ryan comes in and brings some experience as a small forward. Yeah, him, Dan Butler, Jack Higgins, and a few of their young guys.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kind of a free hit for Ryan. I think the expectations aren't that high.
I don't know. That'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. Obviously, lose pick 8, so be it. Jack Steele, Max Heath, kept Ryan Marshall.
Yeah.
They might have done better than Brisbane, but I don't know. I think they're probably level.
Moneyball. All right, Sydney, they gain Malcolm Roses Jr., Jai Sarong, Charlie Curnow. They lose Ollie Florent, Jack Bullaway, Will Hayward, pick 11, 2026 and 2027 round 1 selections in that Curnow trade. So
happy with the Curnow trade, I guess.
They got to be.
Key forward, and they've got Amani, McDonald, McLean, but it certainly gives them some versatility in the front half. Do one of those guys play the back line? Don't know.
Either way, I think this puts them back into a top 4 push.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the expectation when you trade out 3 first-round picks is that you're playing finals and you're certainly contending towards the top of the branch. Just the wrong bargain pickup of the trade period, as I have mentioned all period.
Yep.
And Malcolm Roses, they probably need another small forward. I think Tom Papley, good. They've moved Sam Weeks back. I think Roses could be a best 23 player for them. Obviously, they lose Jack Buller and Will Hayward in that front half as well, and bring Curnow in too. If they contend well enough, they've given up pick 11 and maybe 2 picks in the 20s for Charlie Curnow, and obviously Will Hayward's in that as well, but they've got a few picks back too to help with their academies. Yeah, so they're well positioned both from a contending standpoint and from a draft standpoint. So
I think Sydney fans should be so excited. I'm so excited to see how Curnow does just in a better system, to be honest. So, well done, Sydney. West Coast, again, Brandon Starcevich and Tyler Young, also pick 2 and pick 13. Very good. They lose Oscar Allen, obviously, Liam Ryan, Campbell Chesser, pick 17 and 23.
Yeah, obviously the Allen exit, pick 2 in.
Yeah.
Big tick. They get Starcevich and pick 13 for pick 17 and 23. That's another big tick. They lose Liam Ryan. I think that's okay. Open the door for a few other guys to come through. Lose Campbell Chesser. Probably frustrating just given, first round pick in a really important draft for West Coast after that Tim Kelly trade. And it's particularly with some of the guys who were picked up in that draft, mostly ahead of him, but even I think Leclerc, Kyle Lohman, Darcy Wilmot were all 2021 drafts after Campbell Chesser was taken. So, frustrating, but they're not losing a really key asset. He wasn't best 23 this year. Struggled with injuries. Bolstered their draft hand. Fill a list need with Tyler Young. I think that could be pretty solid for them, despite the pick they gave up. Wins all round.
Yep. Agreed. Last team, the Western Bulldogs. They gain Connor Butterick at pick 14. They lose Jamara Ugelhagen and a pick 12.
Yeah, I don't know if you can be happy with it. Like, obviously, you lose the Jamara stuff. Obviously, quite disappointing. Pick 1 5 years ago and now gets traded pick 74. Dogs.
Well, they lost him a year ago, basically.
Well, it's a good point. And that technically didn't cost them anything at pick 1 because he was an NGA, but we moved back a couple of spots in the first round. Butterick's solid, role player, versatile. Meh.
Yeah, they should be decently happy that they got it done. All right, last thing that we're going to cover, the trades that did not get done. So we've talked about Merritt and Archie, but Buka Kamas, Jai Simpkin, Rowan Marshall, and Jordan DeGoey was also kind of on the table. But yeah, where do you want to start?
Yeah, Merritt's the big one. How he comes, like we spoke about this a little bit at length in the Essendon segment. Nothing bad for the Hawks, really. Bombers might be awkward, but I think by round 1 things will be fine.
Yeah.
As I mentioned though, he could get booed by both sides of the fans.
Yeah,
so
and then he's going to request a trade probably.
And like
anyway.
Supposedly Tom Petrora kind of warned the Bombers. If you don't get this done, we'll ask again next year. And while yes, he's a year older and they lose that trade value, any club that wants him is also getting a 31-year-old Merritt, not a 30-year-old Merritt. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Buka Kamas?
Yeah, he's contracted, so this always needed to get done from Carlton's side more than anything. They didn't really get a key defender, even after losing Jack Silvani. So maybe Mitchie McGovern gets a new deal. That might be interesting to see what happens there. They get Harry Dean through the draft. And, so not a big loss for them, but obviously, there's a list need that they need to fill there. On top of that, though, with how their trade periods panned out, they're not really looking at a contending window. So missing out on a player like Karmas and focusing more attention on the future maybe works out in their favour. Kalachi, Crows have committed to still getting him. How that happens must be through the preseason draft and the type of contract they have on the table that won't really have another club in the position to swoop in instead. So, fascinating that one didn't play out, but that was at risk from the start, it sounds like.
Yep, and Rowan Marshall obviously done. That was an interesting one. Probably looked likely to get done at a lot of stages, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out St Kilda's kind of plans and how it all unfolded. Maybe they had salary cap issues, hence the Leclerc backflip. But then maybe they thought if we can get rid of Jack Steele, we can keep Rowan Marshall. Who do you prefer? What's better for you going forward? And maybe a supporting ruckman who can play a forward role. Turned down a first round pick and a little bit extra from the Cats. Fascinating.
Yep, and then last one, DeGoey. I kind of missed that one throughout the trade period.
Yeah, it popped up really late. I think Hawthorn would have been a great suitor for him, but they were so tied up in the Merritt stuff. And if DeGoey left, what would that have meant for Jai Simpkin, who's another one? So there was a few moving parts there for the Pies. Sounded like Collingwood were open if the right deal came. Might have been the top 15 pick, and I don't know if there's a club that's offering a top 15 pick for Jordan DeGoey given his recent injury history. It wasn't one that got a lot of legs, but maybe there might have been some clubs just asking the question, and
love it. All right, well, that is a wrap on another trade period. Thank you for watching. We are now focusing over to the draft. So craft to the draft. There'll be another video out tomorrow, Thursday, as we're recording this late on Wednesday night. We finally got through this one. There's been a couple of iffy moments, but thank you for watching. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you throughout the draft.